Hi, welcome to this EarSketch video about musical form and functions. My name is Leah, and in this video I'll explain what musical form is and how you can write your own functions in EarSketch. As you might know, most songs have a structure. This structure can be decomposed at different levels. Let's see 3 examples of musical levels. First, let's talk about beats. Beats are irregular time intervals. They are the shortest time divisions in your song. For example, I will play an EarSketch script and clap on the beat. The beat duration depends on your set tempo function at the beginning of your script. If your tempo is fast, your beat duration is going to be short. But if your tempo is slower, your beat duration will be longer. The second musical level we're looking at concerns measures. A measure contains a fixed number of beats. In EarSketch, 1 measure is equal to 4 beats, which is pretty common in Western popular music. The timeline in the digital audio workstation indicates time both in seconds and in measures. The third musical level I want to talk to you about is the section level. Sections are broader musical entities, and contrary to beats or measures, they do not have a fixed duration. A song is composed of several sections, each of which represents an idea or a feeling. Examples of sections are intro, outro, verse, chorus, or solo. When composing music, it's good to plan ahead and see what your song structure will be before you start coding. This will help having a good song structure and code structure. In this particular task, you will be asked to create a song with the ABA form. ABA means that you have 3 sections and that the first and last sections are the same. Now, let's see how functions can help with the structure of your song. You already know that functions take some inputs and convert them to outputs. So far, you've only been using EarSketch functions, like setTempo, FitMedia, or setEffect. But you can also write your own functions, called user-defined functions. This greatly helps organize your code for 2 main reasons. First, it will reduce the length of your code. A function is like a variable that contains a set of instructions. This way, when you need to use the function, you just have to call it, which takes 1 line, instead of having to rewrite all the instructions. Second, it helps organize your code and make it easier to read. It's important that you give your functions names that indicate what they do. For example, if you write a function to create a verse, you can call it verse or verse1. Now, let's see an example of user-defined function. Let's start with writing our function definition. You will need to use the keyword def and then the function name that you chose. As you have seen before, you always add parentheses after a function name. Between the parentheses, you will write the inputs that you want for your function. These inputs are the ones you will have to provide when you call the function later in your code. I recommend that you give precise names to your inputs so that it's easier to know what they need to be. For example here, since we will use the function to create a song section, we will use the inputs of the beginning and end of the section. So we can call them start measure and end measure. This way, when we call the function, we can just indicate at which measure the section should start and at which measure it will stop. Then we have the function instructions, which are indented. Notice that if you forget your semicolon after the function parenthesis, your instructions are not indented. Here, our instructions are just 2 feed media. We select sounds and tracks for these feed medias, and for the start and end time, we use the inputs, start measure and end measure. You are free to choose any inputs that you like. You can also call them whatever you like. So if you want to change them to start time and end time, you can do that. You just need to make sure that you use your inputs in the instructions with the same spelling. So this is it for the function definition. Now, if we want to use the function, we have to call it. Let's say we want to use this section from measure 1 to 5. Then I just have to write verse 1, 5. 1 is the start time input and 5 is the end time input. Let's see what happens when we run the code. If we want to use the function again later in the song, for example from measure 10 to 15, we just have to write verse 10, 15. Now let's run it. And you see that now you have two verse sections from measure 1 to 5 and then from measure 10 to 15. And you can add more verses if you'd like. And so as you can see, instead of writing 4 feet medias, one for each of the sections, you just write 2 lines in your function and then you call your function as often as you want to call it. And that's it for our video about form and function. Thank you for watching. You have the beat.